Hi, my name is Julie Lohr, and I'm about to give you a tutorial, I guess, in the amazing idea of Lionsgate, which is coming up pretty quickly on the calendar. So I'm going to offer a PowerPoint presentation, and you can contact me later for more information or answers to questions. All right, so we'll go through the slides, and I will just give you some information. We'll see how long this takes. I haven't gone through everything before. So Lionsgate, which I'll have a little bit more to say about, is a relatively modern idea, which has arisen. I'm not exactly sure. It's evolved over time, and different people have latched onto it. And I think it's probably a wonderful idea to come together in this time. What it's not. Here's a lion's gate that actually was built, as you can see, as the main entrance to the Bronze Age citadel at Mycenae in Greece. So that's not the Lion's Gate we'll talk about. Nor is this the Lion's Gate we'll talk about. Lionsgate Entertainment, which, as you can see, is a Canadian American company that's actually headquartered in Santa Monica, California. And before I start, a little bit of shameless self-promotion. This is the draft cover of my new book, and part of the impetus for me doing this video at this time. I'm writing a book about the white lions and what I have learned about those beings and their relationship to everything that's happening on Earth at this time, from ancient Egypt to South Africa to the Great Wheel of Time and the Path of Return. So that's the end of the commercial. So Lionsgate, as we've come to know it, is both, as it says, an ancient calling and modern message. And it, the core, the heart of the message has to do with what's called the heliacal rising of the star Sirius, which happens now in the middle of August. In ancient Egypt, 4,500 years ago or so, it happened at summer solstice. So I'll be having a bit more to say about how all those things are related, and perhaps why this symbol has become so meaningful at this time to so many people. It's an idea that has really galvanized many people and caught fire, to borrow an expression, all over the world, really. So in ancient Egypt, which is the origin or the genesis, if you will, and if you can see the illustration that is here on this slide, for 70 days, the brightest star in the sky vanished. It was not visible. That was also the period of the embalming ritual in ancient Egypt. Its return announced a new year. And in ancient Egypt, 4,000 to 4,500 years ago, that event happened at summer solstice, and it heralded the Nile flood. And it was a promise that something that might have disappeared or seemed to be lost would return. And so part of the question I would ask you is, what might need to arise from the well of your psyche, from waters that receded over a period of time and now could emerge to wash away what needs to be washed away and reveal and provide opportunity for what needs to come into being? In the modern sense, I believe, because so many people have resonated with this idea, I believe that Lionsgate is a time to take stock and to embrace possibilities. So a key word, I believe, for this process is renewal. When Sirius rose before the sun after 70 days, the ancient Egyptians rejoiced. This was the beginning of the Nile flood and the promise of new life after a year. In ancient Egypt, this happened in June at summer solstice. Now this event occurs in mid-August. To the ancient Egyptians, the goddess Isis, queen of the Nile, was the star Sirius. That's who they recognized as her identity. And Mythologically, symbolically, the Nile flood was seen to begin from a single tear from the eye of Isis. So, as I was just saying, what did that annual flood represent? What needed to be washed away? It was an enormous event. And the symbolism, I believe, can go very deeply as we participate now in this symbolic event in modern times. And so you might think about, what do you need to release and prepare for new growth? Is there a relationship? Is there a job? Is there a habit pattern? Something you've been willing, wanting to let go of? And so you might make a note, write it down, think about. Now is a wonderful time to be pondering how to move forward. And remembrance is another key word. Not only what has been lost to ages and needs to be remembered, which in many words and many ways of saying it is what my new book is about, going back in time, understanding these vast cycles and how we move through ages of dark and light, what we forget and what, as the wheel of time turns, can come back into our memories. So here again, what do you need to recall? Perhaps there's something that needs to be forgiven and moved into the past as you move forward to a new horizon. What expands the energy at this particular time is that the planet Jupiter is in the sign of Leo. And as I'm recording this, they're in conjunction. The sun is at 3 degrees of Leo, and the planet is at 5. So it's a powerful time. And this offers an opportunity to expand. Now, the thing about Jupiter to know is it causes everything to grow, the good, the bad, the ugly. So focusing on what's positive, focusing on what we want to increase is the best way to handle this energy. But it really amps up the power of this time. So switching now to Africa, where I have traveled from north to south, from Egypt to spending time in southern Africa with the Zulu Sanusi, high priest of the Zulu shamans, Credo Mutwa. This is not his actual picture. It's meant to be a symbolic representation, but it was from Credo in 1995 that I learned about the white lions. 97, actually, that's right. And what they represented to Africa and South Africa and the world. And I write about that in the book. So coming soon on that. The Dogon tribe of Mali in Eastern Africa, also, maybe it's Western Africa. Sorry about that. I'm not sure of the geography. Had a knowledge of the Sirius star system that our astronomers did not know. Only until, I believe, about 50 years ago were our astronomers able to identify a second star in a binary system with what's called Sirius A. But the Africans and the South Africans and the Dogon of Mali had deep and sophisticated understanding of this star system and its meaning to humanity. So my offering at that point is open your mind. What new learning might be calling to you that could broaden your horizons and change your life in unexpected ways? So I wanted to mention this, also this information I'll explore in the book. Something else that I learned from Credo Mutwa in my time in South Africa, that the Sphinx, as you can see from the illustration in the slide, sits exactly at the intersection of two very powerful points. The longitude of 31 degrees 14 minutes east and the latitude of 30 degrees north. And Credo taught me that it represents the spine of the earth, also perhaps the axis of memory, what we need to remember, and the gold of alchemy. South Africa is a place that was historically mined for gold, and much damage was done in many ways. And it's part of what we as a human race need to remember, to take in, both for forgiveness, for healing, and for conscious and ethical behavior in the world. I wanted just to speak a minute about Sekhmet, who has been a very powerful teacher for me throughout my life and all my trips to Egypt, as well as South Africa. This is an enhanced version of an image I took of her at a shrine in Karnak in Egypt. And she is one of the great teachers, taskmasters, mistresses that many of us connect to and resonate with. And as the slide says, among her many names is the powerful, and she represents the radiant union of lion strength and the Uraeus serpent of wisdom, which is poised on her brow, and the stellar orb, which many interpret as the sun, but I think it also represents stellar wisdom. And she is someone who can be called upon when we're ready to do some hard work on ourselves. So I want to take a moment to speak of what is often called the path, and just to mention this. And the stars in their teachings don't ask us to believe, but they do ask us to remember. And so here, again, only touching on it, the nature of the work, our willingness to see the truth of our foibles and as well as our strengths. Sometimes it's more difficult to accept our gifts and develop them than it is to, in a sense, hide. And then to take action. And as you can see, this beautiful diagram begins with the disciple awakening to the light and realizing there is a path, moving on to a period of purification when old habits and addictions need to be healed and released, and what lies beneath them, sometimes wounds, sometimes trauma, needs to be healed. And the next phase of initiations, of opening the heart, opening the mind, grasping the idea and embodying divine will. Renunciation, finally letting go to the sense of what our personalities or ego with a small e have been prompting us to do, and setting our feet firmly on the path, as is said in the East, off the wheel of rebirth and on to the path of return. And finally, achieving at some point a level of mastery, of actually living the light, of actually being radiant being of love and blessing in the world. And at that point, we then become the one who stands at the threshold of the inner temple, ready to do the work, ready to become all that we can be. And my question for this part is, what in your life has been hidden for a season, a lifetime, waiting for the dawn of awakening to be recognized and released? What part of yourself are you prepared to leave behind before you enter the temple of transformation? And this is difficult to read. I'm seeing if I can read it from the slide. I've got the link here as a suggestion. You can use this invocation during the Lionsgate period from July the 28th to August the 12th as you release what needs to be shed and embrace what is coming into being. And the heliacal rising of Sirius, I forgot to say, depends on where you are, because it's a matter of latitude and longitude on the Earth. But you can look it up. Just Google heliacal, which means before the sun, rising of the star Sirius, and find out where it is in your location so that you can plan to rise before dawn that morning and watch that star rise in the east before the dawn. And so I'm going to put on my glasses to read the invocation, which you can use. And as I said, the link is on my website. Invocation of remembrance and return. The light returns. The great star rises. From the long night of forgetting, we awaken. This is the time of remembrance. We call back the truth that lives within our bones. Older than fear, deeper than time. We release the past and end all that no longer serves. We shed the garments of illusion and doubt as the dawn sheds the darkness. We greet the lions, guardians of the path, keepers of the ancient wisdom, mirrors of our courage and our heart. We greet the great star Sirius, beacon of return, source of soul memory, guide of the way home. As above, so below, as within, so without, we rise, we remember, we return by the light, through the lion, under the great star. Amen, aho, so be it. So take those words into your mind and heart and use them, if you like, during this period as a way to focus your will, your desire, your courage, your compassion. And now I offer a chance to breathe and imagine the great white lioness that the Sphinx once was, gazing at the star Sirius as this amazing star of immense power, history, and lineage rises in the east ahead of the sun. So I suggest you take time each morning in silence to greet the bright star and the dawn of becoming. So I'm trying to stop my share and my mouse is not working. Let's see if, there it is. Sorry about that little bit of technical difficulty. We're just out of Mercury retrograde. So thank you if you listened all the way to the end. And I think the only thought I would really leave you with is this time is more about the star and the lions that guard her and the lions that they represent and what that star has meant through ancient times as the teacher, as the location of a stellar council of great wisdom. And so embrace this time, take a deep look in the mirror of yourself, and hopefully we'll all gain and grow from this experience. And thank you so much for joining me today.